Gundam.tk presents Hi-Nu Gundam. Hey everybody, what's up? It's Robert184 and welcome to my review of the Master Grade Hi-Nu Gundam. The first thing you'll notice is how huge the box is. So on the right you have a regular Master Grade box, and over here you have the Hi-Nu's box. This kit was made in 2007 and it sells for 7,000 yen. For the box tour, the first thing they ask is what is the Hi-Nu Gundam, and that's something I'll talk about another time. A great front shot talks about the mecha designer who designed it. A rear view, it shows off the fin funnels and how they attach onto the back wings and the effect parts that you can put in to have them look like they're whooshing around. As far as weapons goes, it comes with a double beam saber and a single one, and the single beam saber is stored in the forearm. As well, he also has some weapons that come out of this forearm and the hyper bazooka. And of course it has a ridiculously impressive inner frame if you choose not to put the parts on, and Amuro Ray in civilian gear, well, uniform, and pilot suit. In terms of gimmicks on the back, you're able to open up this panel and then change the positioning of the back. You can have Amuro getting out of the chest as the cockpit opens up, and you're able to slide the legs forward and backwards individually, and they do click into place. Now the other real winner about this is that it gives you a fantastic action stand, and that is in the shape of Amuro's personal mark, and you can detach each of the fin funnels, put on the effect parts, and have them flying around. So that of course is Amuro's personal A, and even better with the effect parts is they give you two, so it's not just one in there, so it sort of gives it a little bit of a 3D effect. Lots of posability with the stand, lots of seals including dry decals, of which I'm a big fan, and on the jewel on the forehead it's actually written Hi-Nu Gundam, additional details like brakes on the feet, and unpainted, here's how it's going to look. Now with a box that size you can guess that there's a lot of parts in here, and the majority of them come in silver, dark gray, blue, and white. The A plate isn't that exciting, just with white clear parts for the head and for the blue effect parts, as well as two plates for blue beam sabers, a cool part that they have metal looking parts that you put onto the propellant thrusters, and two effect parts for these. And overall the parts go up here to R, so that just gives you an idea that outside of a perfect grade, this Gundam has one of the highest part counts you'll come across. The manual itself has a standard Master Grade cover, and when you open it up you get the fictional history of the Hi-Nu Gundam, instructions on how to put a Gundam together in the first place. It shows all the parts up to the ridiculous R plates, and then really nice stuff that they're just getting better and better with. Like for example, they'll give you some ideas about the arm unit, some good line art, and then it shows all the plates that you need to build it, followed by the actual instructions. So the manuals just keep getting better and better. Some good shots of the model on a color splash page, and then a painting guide, and then as we move through the decals in the back, it shows you how to pose it and put on all the stickers, seals, and decals. And finally, instead of a back shot, it's a great front shot. When all is said and done, you are going to have a lot of parts once you've completed building everything. So you're going to have the wing assembly with the fin funnels attached. You're going to get a shield, arms, separate shoulders, propellant thrusters, waist unit, two legs of course with feet, chest unit, head, arm. You'll also get the beam rifle here. This is what the fin funnels looked with the effect parts on. You're going to get 6 clear rods that you use for launching the fin funnels, 2 beam sabers, 1 large, 1 small, and this plugs into the bottom of the long one, effect parts, and a base attachment. And I should also mention the awesome base that you get for this. Look at the parts from bottom to top. The first thing you'll notice is how great the inner frame is. And it's got pivot points up here, so you can bend this in and you can bend this back, and then the knee detaches just as it slides down there. So no problems at all, despite once you put all the armor on there. The ankles have a sliding piston here in the front and a little bit of mobility, and the foot is not one piece like the high grade, it bends like that. And it also has these built into it. Here's a leg armored up, and just to give you an idea, not a lot of splitting or spreading parts, but that's the way it's going to look once you bend the knee. The waist looks great and has a lot of articulation. The front and back skirts are all individual pieces, so they're all able to move. These are dry decals for EFSF and Londo Bell on the front. Little details like there are small gray parts on the inside here and down at the bottom. But in terms of articulation, the most important thing is that the legs are on sliding units, so you can choose to put the legs in different places and lock them into place. Also, it has a mount here that if you use a regular action base, you can plug that in to the bottom. The chest is really good overall, but it brings out a few of my first complaints. First, the good parts is that the shoulders have incredible mobility forward and backwards, especially with this detached panel. As far as the cockpit goes, I usually don't show this off, but in this case it just pops up. Nothing as cool as Infinite Justice or Strike Freedom, but you can still see a little bit of Amuro Ray inside. But the cockpit is my huge complaint, because you'll see in here that there is a shiny mirror-like sticker. And that sticker was ridiculously hard to put in. I tried putting it in before putting in this blue piece, and then I tried putting it in afterwards. And either way it ends up looking terrible. You have to trim it, and it overall looks worse with it, I think, than if I had just not put it in. As far as the rest of the back goes, you have movement here. The propellant thrusters, unlike the hard grade, aren't on ball joints. They just stick in here on a peg, and then you put the wings on here, and these only move side to side, not up and down. And here, this is a cool part, that if you take and open up this panel here, you're able to move the waist forward and back. So hopefully locking that in place will eliminate some of the balance issues that the high grade had. The arms are great. They pivot around at the shoulder. No problems whatsoever pulling off the 90-degree angle. Nice details like small gray parts here. And to remove the beam saber, you'll put the small one in there and it launches out, no problem. It has I put some lining on there, and the hand has good mobility, including the ability to bend backwards. The left arm is a little bit different in that it has an ammo pack that slides into the forearm, as well as a weapon down here. The shoulders are also cool with lots of small parts in them, including gray parts inside the white, so it really gives the impression of depth, and that's black lined, and this is a dry decal. The wing assembly just attaches on in the back, and it has the cool feature of opening up to reveal a beam saber, which clicks into place. But the real winner, and a reason to get this over the high grade, is the fact that each of these parts are on a separate mount. So you're able to do whatever you want with these, although I've noticed taking them on and off that they can get a little weak in their attachment, whereas some of them stay on well. So it pulls off, and then you're able to transform this, opening it up, making it look like the Hi-Nu, and then bend it into position. Inside the fin funnels, you'll see that there's panels there, and you take the effect parts, add them in, and you put on one on each side, so you do get a bit of a 3D effect, and then you add this blue part onto the back, and basically you have a whooshing fin funnel. At the back of the fin funnels, with the blue effect parts, there is a clear plastic rod, and you get 6 of them to attach each of the 6 funnels to the base. And they tell you in the instruction manuals to bend them to a certain angle, 35 degrees, etc. Now my big problem is, you can already see the bend in here, is that these are too heavy. So over time, if you bend them to the angle Bandai tells you to, they're going to end up drooping down and looking like that. So when you're bending these, I would do it about half of what they tell you to do. The beam sabers are pretty cool. The small one is beveled down here and fits into the forearm. And on this one, the main one, you get a semi-Darth Maul, and a cool touch over the high grade is that they extended the lower one just to give it a little bit more visual impressivity. The propellant thrusters are not that different from the high grade, except that they add some gray parts down here, put on the dry decals. I've added some gray lining, and this is a nice touch that they give it to you sort of in a shined metal goldish chrome. The weapons are a big step up on the high grade Hi-Nu, simply because they're not just monochrome silver, but you get the white parts, which really add some character to these weapons, I think. It also has a thing here that you pivot out, and if you take the back of the waist armor and take off the panel there, you're able to lock that into place and have that stored. Just put on some dry decals. This is able to move forward and back, so you can get some pretty decent poses. But overall, just again, the fact that it's not gray makes this a plus. Hi-Nu's shield is very, very famous, and this is great. Like the high grade, it has special parts here, so this is white blue. You're not just putting this on with seals or stickers. And this is not a dry decal, which is a little disappointing. It's just a regular sticker, so it shows a little bit when you put it on. Put some lining in there, some gray lining on. And as far as the mount assembly goes, to putting it on the forearm, you can see that there's some little ridges there, and when you plug that in, it will just stick on to the side of the arm. And finally, the head of the Hi-Nu has to be one of its highlights. I put in a lot of black lining, despite the fact that I did most of the body in gray. You can see it has the words Hi-Nu written up at the top, separate gray piece for the V antennas, and I put some black lining around the mouthguard, and it follows in the tradition of the new Gundam of having the 3 vents on the front. Overall, really sharp looking. Don't forget to check out part 2 to see it all put together.